In the second part of the digestive system lecture, we are going to take a tour of the digestive tract, so buckle in. At the end of this, I expect you to be able to define all digestive organs, peristalsis, chyme, and segmentation. Relate the form and functions of the digestive system. List/define, in order, all components of the digestive system, including the accessory glands. List what macromolecules are digested in each organ. Be able to list and define the 5 basic processes of the digestive system, and list which of the 5 basic processes are done in each organ. So, let's look at the digestive system. The goal here is to break down molecules and absorb their nutrients. If you chew on a potato and then swallow it, your body's goal is to turn that into carbohydrates that can be used for energy. So that's a lot of breakdown and absorption. Any nutrient is defined as a substance required for growth, reproduction, and health. The GI tract here is a hollow tube through the body. It is notable that when we're talking about a hollow tube, anything secreted into this tube is secreted outside the body, making any gland secreting to the GI tract an exocrine gland. So accessory organs are going to be secreting these digestive fluids, and that makes them exocrine glands. There are 5 functions of the digestive system here. The first one is mechanical processing and movement. So something like chewing would be mechanical processing. Something like peristalsis through the digestive tract would be movement. Anything that's going to do physical actions is going to be doing this mechanical processing and movement. Next is secretion. This is what happens when digestive enzymes are going to be secreted into the digestive tract. So secretion is the process of moving digestive enzymes and other things into the digestive tract. Digestion, that is the chemical processing of things. So enzymes tend to digest because they are breaking down molecules. Absorption, this is when your body takes up things, and this is going to be mainly in the small intestine, where the body will take up amino acids and nucleic acids, fats, and carbohydrates. Elimination is the removal of waste at the end of the large intestine. Elimination is different from excretion. Excretion is urine. Elimination is fecal matter. Looking at movement, we're going to be moving things to the digestive tract through several different processes. Mechanical processing is largely chewing, but the process of peristalsis is the movement of what is called a food bolus through the GI tract. So a bolus is pretty much just a chunk of food. When you swallow, you create a bolus, and your esophagus will squeeze that smooth muscle to move the bolus towards the stomach. This is why you can swallow upside down, because it is not dependent on gravity, it is dependent on smooth muscle contraction. Chyme is the thin, watery paste of a combination of secretions and food. So this is what you have in your small intestine. It is full of chyme. Segmentation is the mixing of food, and that is going to be mainly in the small intestine. So you can see how this squeezes differently, and when it squeezes differently, you're going to get that food kind of mixed up. Sort of like if you had a tube full of a mixture of water and some solids, and you wanted to mix things in that tube, you'd start kneading it and squeezing it, and that would be effectively the same thing your intestinal muscles are doing with segmentation. Let's look through the GI tract, starting in the mouth. So first off is the oral cavity. It's responsible for the mechanical processing through the process of mastication. What we have here are teeth, which will break down the food into smaller fragments, and a tongue that moves food around to optimize the chewing and taste the food to make sure it is worthy of passing into the throat. More time spent chewing makes for easier digestion and decreases the amount of food needed to make one feel full. But it's not just mechanical processing. There are salivary glands here that are secreting salivary enzymes. Saliva is a combination of water, mucin, bicarbonate, and the enzymes amylase and lysozyme. Amylase is digesting starches. If you want to, you can chew on a cracker, and after a while, it will begin to taste sweet as your body turns that starch into glucose. An enzyme called lysozyme inhibits bacterial growth in the mouth. The pharynx and esophagus move food from the oral cavity to the stomach. Swallowing requires a movement of a bolus past the trachea. The pharynx is superior to the epiglottis, and the esophagus is inferior to the epiglottis and superior to the stomach. The stomach moves, secretes, digests, and absorbs. This is a busy organ. The stomach churns food around before moving it past the pyloric sphincter, which separates the stomach from the small intestine. The secretion of an enzyme called pepsin, which digests proteins in concert with HCl, is essential for digesting proteins. Absorption here is limited to small molecules like sugars, salts, and alcohol, as well as a certain amount of water. The small intestine has several roles: movement, of course, by both peristalsis and segmentation, digestion of proteins, carbohydrates, and lipids, as we discussed in a previous lecture, and the absorption of proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and even more water. Surface cells here have enhanced surface area, and we can see how the intestine has these folds. Each fold is covered with smaller folds called villi, and each one of those villi has cells covered in microvilli. The surface area of the small intestine is vast, allowing it to have a great surface area across which things can be absorbed. Accessory organs are separate from the GI tract, but essential to the GI tract. So there is secretion of bile, enzymes, and bicarbonate into the duodenum, which is part of the small intestine, and it comes here from the liver and the pancreas. The liver also breaks down toxins. It's another role that it has outside of digestion, and also old blood cells. There are a lot of functions for the liver. Good organ. Keep it around. The pancreas is an exocrine gland, but we will talk about later how it is also an endocrine gland secreting insulin and glucagon. Really cool gland. And these are essential for good digestion. Last up, the large intestine. This is where the absorption of remaining nutrients and water occurs. There are bacteria in the large intestine that will be digesting fiber, and some of these bacteria also produce essential things for the body. So the bacteria that live in here are an essential part of digestion. There is elimination as well of undigested material out of the anus. That's the only place elimination occurs. And the external anal sphincter controls defecation and ends the GI tract.